Hi, I'm Robert01 and this is a tutorial on the original Xbox and software modifying it. After we're done software modifying it, after I take you through all of the steps, we're going to put a new case on it. By the way, to my little brother-in-law, my wife's brother, this video is for you and this is your Xbox. Let's get started. So, first things first, you will need a 2 GB thumb drive. Why? Because the original Xbox can only support a memory device of up to 2 GB on one of these lovely USB front ports. Now then, these are not actual standard USB, these are some kind of strangely messed up Microsoft USB, which I don't know why they did that. I really don't. That was kind of dumb. But the good news is you can make one of these guys right here. Female USB plug, well, male. The male plug will plug into the system like so. Your thumb drive will plug in like so. Now then, here's what you do. To software modify the game system, you're going to need a couple of different discs. Disc number 1, to make sure that your system is correctly up to date, is a standard store copy of Halo 2. Disc number 2 that you're going to need, I like to use 007 Agent Under Fire. You will never play this game or put it in the console ever again after it is soft modded, otherwise your console will be a brick. I guarantee it. Don't do it. Don't. Especially you. Yeah, you. The guy that was thinking about it. Don't do it. Moving right along. So after that, you're going to take your thumb drive. Here's my lovely computer. And you are going to use this program right here, Explorer360.exe. This program enables you to plug an Xbox formatted thumb drive into the into the laptop or your computer and inject Xbox save files onto it and also remove them from it. The light in this room is not cooperating. So what we're going to do is we're going to assume that we've already done this. Mainly because it takes a long time and the thing's kind of finicky. So, I got this Xbox from the thrift shop here on Post and here in Germany earlier today, and I formatted it at lunchtime because, to be perfectly honest, sometimes these things just don't want to soft mod. My original soft modded Xbox, this lovely guy right here that I also did beforehand, this is my Xbox, Zeke, we're doing yours today. That one, the success on that soft mod I think had something to do with the alignment of the planets. I really do. Because I was following the instructions that I found online to the letter, and it wasn't really working very well. Anyway, links to the software that you're going to need, Explorer360 and also the exploited 007 Agent Under Fire save game will be in the description below. Now, getting started. Let's go ahead and fire up the Xbox. Like I said, it's already soft modded, so this is going to be a quick walkthrough of how to do the actual software modification. First things first, now that this thumb drive is formatted for the PC, we're going to go through the quick process of formatting it for the Xbox. And here's how we do that. We just boot up the Xbox. As you can see, it's already done. Now, after it's soft modded, you can still get into the actual Xbox dashboard, and it's really easy. You just go to MS Dashboard and pops right up, like so. Okay, so here's the actual Xbox dashboard. Here's where we've got the memory, file access. This is just vanilla. This is what you'd get normally. And we're going to take this and we're going to plug it in. You know it's worked when the Xbox blinks at you and throws up this message here, which reads memory unit, and that says what port it's on. This says 2A because I've got it plugged into port 2. It says the memory unit you inserted is not working correctly. It has been erased. This means that the Xbox has just wiped the thumb drive and then formatted it to accept Xbox files. So we're going to go ahead and hit A, which accepts. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to see that the Xbox is treating it like a normal memory card. After this, we are going to go down to the computer. After unplugging this from the Xbox, we're going to plug it back into the computer, which I will zoom in carefully here so that hopefully you can see it. Alrighty. There's a format thing there. Just go and plug it in here. I just got off work, that's why I'm still in uniform. Alright, so we're not going to format it, we're going to tell it cancel. I'm going to close out the formatter. And then we're going to open Xbox Explorer 360. Let me see if I can frame this better for you. Like I said, this room's kind of finicky. Alright, so go ahead and open that up. Presented with this window here. You're going to come up here where it says drive. You're going to hit drive. You're going to hit open. If it'll cooperate. You will select hard drive or mem card. Partition 0 pops up. Next, you're going to need to select the actual file that you will be inserting into this, which I have somewhere in here. Yes, I have it under Xbox Games. And it is labeled as 007 Agent Under Fire exploit.rar. We're going to extract that. I'm going to correctly extract that because I'm a retard and I just messed up. Tell it to extract here. And there it is. 4541000D. Which you probably can't read because this camera is just really badly out of focus. Apologize for that. Alright, so we're going to go back down here to Xbox Explorer. I'm going to grab this here and drag it into here and let go. And it says injecting. And it will go through its process of injecting. It's just going to take a couple minutes. Alright, there we go. It's on. We unplug the thumb drive and we go back to the Xbox. Okay. Now then, we plug the thumb drive back in. The Xbox thinks it's an Xbox memory card, which is good, so we get a memory now. Select the memory card. And what you'll do is you come down here, you select this, you tell it to copy, and then you copy it onto the hard drive, which I'm not actually going to do because this is already on the hard drive, and I don't want to mess up the software mod that I've already done. So we're going to back out of this. And I'm going to unplug this now, and we're going to assume that it made it onto the hard drive. Now then, here's another thing that you're going to need. You're going to need an official or third-party Xbox memory card. Why are you going to need this? Well, the reason is very simple. is so that you can probably go ahead and do this for your friends or anybody that pays you. And so here's the file right here. Now the reason why this is important is because actually getting that file off of the thumb drive onto the Xbox, the first time I did it, like I said, it kind of relied on the temperament of the Xbox itself and partially on the alignment of the planets. It was a royal pain in the butt. But when it finally actually worked, it was beautiful and sublime, and I didn't want to take any chances, so I immediately dumped it onto an actual memory card. There it is. Now then. Sorry, it was terrible framing and terrible lighting, but there it is. Okay, so next, now that you've got all this on here, just a quick reminder, the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to check the dashboard version. The dashboard version is going to be obvious, painfully so. When you start up the Xbox, if you do not have this Xbox Live tab here, and even if you do, you're going to want to throw in your Halo 2 disc. You're going to want to throw in your Halo 2 disc because the Halo 2 disc has an update for the Xbox that will bring it up to the very latest dashboard version, making this whole thing possible. So, your two linchpins in this are Halo 2 and Agent Under Fire. If you can't get those, well, I mean, Agent Under Fire isn't the only game that you can do it with, but from what I've found online, it's certainly the easiest. Certainly the most straightforward. So that's why I went with Agent Under Fire. That, and because when I was stateside, it was all of $2. Alright, so you pop in the Halo 2 disc, and then you turn on Halo 2, and then you go to Xbox Live Play, and then having done that, it will say updating your console with Xbox Live. After it's done doing that, turn off the console and then turn it back on again, and then you should have your fourth Xbox Live tab, otherwise it'll just say memory, music, and settings. Now then, once you've actually got all that done, you've got the files on there and you're ready to rock and roll, you take your 007 Agent Under Fire and you throw it in. The Xbox will automatically boot the disc. At least it better. Thank you. Zippity-doo-dah, load screens, yay, unskippable content, things that I don't care about. And so what we do now is we wait for this thing to load slowly, which it's vastly guilty of. Alright, so here we go. Here's Agent Under Fire. We're going to press start. And we're going to select mission initially. It doesn't matter what difficulty you set it on, you're just going to get it to load the stupid thing up. Slow load times, how I despise you. One of the glorious things about the software mod is that you'll be able to actually take the game itself and then load it directly onto the hard drive. Okay, now that we're in gameplay, you want to just actually fire up the gameplay and make sure that you're in gameplay. Okay? God, the controls on this are atrocious. How did this game even work? Who signed off on this? Good God. Just wanted to... Alright, we're done here. I'm rage quitting the mission. Because you know what? I didn't even need to play it anyway. We just needed to start up a mission to get it to acknowledge things. And then we go load mission from Xbox hard disk. And it says loading mission. And the Xbox blinks. And it takes us to this. And 1 and 5. We're not going to remove the soft mod, but what it'll do is it'll actually take you to the thing where it'll send you through the whole process of actually doing the software mod. First thing you're going to want to do is copy your EEPROM, is make a backup of your EEPROM. You do that, and then do a complete install. Now once you've done the complete install, you'll be able to do basically anything you want with it. So, just a quick thing now, we're going to turn this off, turn it back on by ejecting the disk, and I'm going to show you the dashboard a little bit. This dashboard that we've got going on right now is not my favorite dashboard. It's kind of rough, kind of not very straightforward, so I don't really like it very much. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to System, we're going to go to Settings, actually no, we're going to go to Skins. We're going to throw in blue shapes. And here we go. This is basically the same, only it's blue, from the skin that I use on my desktop. We can go Settings, Auto Launch Game, no. Auto Launch DVD, no. DVD Player, Audio CD, no. CD Player, Auto Launch Data, yes. I'm going to tell it no. File Manager, we're not going to mess with that. Alright, so we're going to hit Save, and we're going to hit Exit. Date and time. Don't really need to mess with that much. Gamepad infrared shortcut. Don't care. Live update. Forget it, you're not even connected to anything. Screen calibration. Who cares? Because we're not messing with that right now, we're just getting everything set up so that it can do lovely, lovely things. Sound and audio. Play music off, random music no, global no, music path, music volume, enable sound yes, sound volume 90. Alright, and that's just basic stuff right there. Let's go to System, Dash Version, there's your Dash Version. Xbox name, Weasel. Let's rename that. I'm going to name it Zekebox. Just because. Alright, now then. Auto rename no, auto patch XPE yes. Report on error yes. Alrighty. And we're just going to go down here to use Fahrenheit no, temperature threshold 0, fan speed 1. Here's where you can actually increase the fan speed. It's really nice. I recommend going ahead and putting it on 2 or 1.5. This will actually help keep the system a little bit cooler. Zeke, because you're in El Paso, I'm putting it up on 2. What you're going to need to do, Zeke, is you're going to need to keep dust away from this thing, so keep it up off of the floor. And remind you, up off of the floor, and make sure that you keep it on a stable platform. In other words, not something that's going to be easily knocked over, and not something that's going to trap a lot of heat. So, no cloth, nothing flimsy. Probably if you stood it up on some wood, like a wooden sort of short table or something like that, it'll be perfectly fine. Before you set it down on it, make sure that you clean the platform off, because you don't want any dirt or gunk or any other kind of nasty, like cat hair, dog hair, dust, sneezes, you know, junk, getting sucked into the Xbox and gunking up the works. Now another thing I'm going to do when I crack this thing open is I'm going to clean it with Q-tips and alcohol. Make sure it's factory fresh, or at least as factory fresh as I can get. Now then. Screensaver. Let's go ahead and make that red, orange, or actually no, let's make it flashing red. Let's just make it flash green and orange for screensaver. Copying is going to be flashing red. FTP send, flashing orange. FTP receive, flashing green. FTP boost. It's going to be green orange. Busy is going to be orange. Now that's a test right there of the LEDs. Testing red, testing orange, testing off, testing green, testing flashing red, testing flashing orange, testing flashing green, testing green orange, testing orange red, testing red green. And there's the default. Is where we're gonna leave it. Now then, screensaver. Screensaver is nice, especially if you have it plugged into a standard CRT television like this. We're just gonna leave it where it is. Alright. All the rest of this looks good. I'm gonna hit save. And as you can hear, hopefully you can hear, the fan has just sped up to speed 2. This is good because it tells us that it worked. Now then, video display, format normal, enable 480p, fast refresh, yes. Alright, since we don't have it hooked up to I'm going to put it on filter level 1 with no softening to it. This gives us a nice sharp picture. Auto switch video mode, no. Multi-region mode. Force PAL 60, no. Alright. Now hopefully we shouldn't have any issues with this. Some of the games that I have downloaded for this are PAL games, but it shouldn't give too much of an issue. It should work just fine. So we're going to hit save. Strange. I wonder what it just did. Alright. And exit. Alright. Now then, the FTP stuff you really don't need to worry about, because that's only when you hook it up to a network. Now then, here's the great thing. To copy a game disk, you'll start here from the main launcher. You go System, Miscellaneous, Copy Game Disk. From here, it will simply inhale everything that is on any disk that you happen to throw in there. Open DVD tray will open the DVD tray. Close DVD tray closes the DVD tray. And then coming out here to File Explorer brings you up to this, where you can actually see where all your data is located, and also be able to copy files between different folders. Okay? Now, to switch between right and left side of the screen, either side can be sending or receiving. The user interface is very simple. Play around with it a little bit, should be good. To get to the MS dashboard, you just select Microsoft Dashboard and go. To reboot it, you hit Reboot. To shut down, you just hit Shutdown. Now then, here's another lovely feature. To reboot this thing from the controller, you just hit left trigger, right trigger, start and back at the same time. Bada bang, it reboots. Just like that. And you didn't save my skin, you evil bastard thing. Alright. And we're going to save this. And hopefully that worked. Let's test it. Hey, it worked. Check it out. Now we're going to shut down and begin with the physical modification process. To begin the physical modification process, I'm going to have to take it into the next room and set it up on the table. What we've just done is the software modification portion. Hi. Okay, so this is step 2. What we're going to be doing now is we're going to open up the Xbox and then clean it. And we're going to replace the lid with a clear plastic case. First I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and then the tedious part of actually cleaning it, I'm just going to kill the video and skip over that because it takes too damn long. So, here we go. Things we're going to need for this process. Number 1. Sorry. Get this better in frame. Number 1, our Torx screw set. We're going to need Torx screws, or sorry, heads. They're going to be able to fit the actual screws that are in there. And the last time I did this, I think it was a T20. This right here is a screw that's left over because I broke the other case and I need to buy a new one to replace that. Since I have already purchased that particular case, I just decided that, you know what, I've got it on hand, I'll just put it on this Xbox instead. Alright, so yes, it is a T20 that you're going to be using. So, a T20 head and driver. You will also be needing a long driver, and that's just to get the case open. Now then, for actually cleaning the case, you're going to need, or not the case, but the electronics on the inside, you're going to need canned air, isopropyl alcohol, and Q-tips. For polishing off the case mod, we're going to pop this lovely medallion here, the Xbox logo, off. To do that, you're going to need a long, flat screwdriver. Well, not too terribly long, but at least large enough to wedge underneath it. And I have one that's compatible right here. And a blow dryer. Why do you need a blow dryer, you may ask? Well, that's because this lovely little logo right here sits on top of a small amount of epoxy and also a foam double-sided tape piece. So what we need to do is we'll take the heat shield off the underside of this piece of plastic, and then we will heat up the plastic itself from the inside and also a little bit on the outside, but mostly on the inside because we want to get to that piece of tape, and we don't want to really damage the medallion, and if you put too much heat on the medallion you're going to melt it. Luckily I learned that by reading things online instead of trial and error. So, here we go. Let's go ahead and start. Now then, on the bottom of the Xbox, you will notice some feet and stickers. Underneath each foot is a screw, and under the 2 stickers that cover the middle mostly, oh here we go, you're going to have a screw here, and then a screw right here. I know it's right there because I can feel the dimple. I'm going to prove that it's there by carefully cutting that piece of the sticker off so I can show it to you. And for that, we're going to use a tiny knife. Now, don't worry about voiding the warranty, because the warranty's already gone. Xboxes, original Xboxes anyway, don't have a warranty left. Why? Because they're old. So the new warranty on the Xbox is going to be your skill at repairing and cleaning it. Or whoever it is that you can, pay off to do it for you. So somebody like me. Or me. Which, I do this stuff on commission. It's perfectly fine and dandy. I accept money. as payment. Okay. Getting the feet off is kind of an issue, because they're on there with some double-sided tape also, which is a pain in the ass. To keep your medallion logo from getting destroyed, for this portion, go ahead and put it on a soft cloth. I should have done that earlier. I screwed up. But it'll be fine. Alright. And we go ahead and clean that gunk off. Now the other fun part that you're going to probably end up wanting to do is this sticky stuff that was holding the feet on. Once you pry the feet off of it, it's not going to stick to anything anymore, ever. It's basically worthless. So you're going to want to go ahead and just scrape the rest of that off. But I'll do that during cleaning, so it'll just be a bit that we skip over. Alright, got our feet off, got our stickers cut. Now we take the screws out. It doesn't really matter what order you take them out in. Because they're all the exact same length, so you don't really need to worry about putting them back in any kind of pattern, because they're all completely identical. And these were security screws that Bill had put in place because he didn't think that anybody would be smart enough to look for them or what have you. But hey, there they are. And they're nice and sturdy too. Because if you remember, the original Xbox literally is a PC with a specialized Microsoft operating system on it. And all it does is play games. Alright, now that the screws are out, all you have to do is lift up, and it comes right off. See that? Ain't that pretty? Okay. Nice. It's got the Seagate drive, which means this is an earlier generation Xbox. Alright. This hard drive, when I fired it up, was really, really clicky. I don't like the sound of that, so what I'm going to be doing is I'll be using my old Xbox hard drive, and I'm just going to throw my old Xbox hard drive in here. Mainly because it's already got some emulators on there. It's got some pretty good settings too. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to probably replace this DVD drive, because the one that I have, I mean, I know that this one's, let's see, which one is this? Thomas? It's the Thompson drive? Alright. Well, whatever I do to that, we will find out eventually. Looking at the inside of this, let's go ahead and zoom in here. Actually, better yet, we'll just try and reposition. It actually looks pretty clean. You know. Looks like it was kept in a virtually dust-free environment. So this is probably going to cut down on the actual cleaning process, which is nice. This is actually really, really good. I'm liking this. Alright, so next thing we're going to need is a slightly smaller T driver. which is going to be a T10. What did I just have? I had a T20. Now I'm going to use a T10 to take out this one here, and also the one that is all the way down here in front. Why are they right there? Because Microsoft has to make things difficult. And if you really want to do this, you're really have to want to do this. Alright, there's one. Let's come in here and get this other one. Alright. I'm going to come in there with a magnetic screwdriver that I've got and try and lift it out. Because I don't... Okay, you know what? Forget that. That's not working. So I'm going to use some needle nose pliers. Okay, that works. Now this entire assembly here should lift straight out. Or not, because it's underneath the hard drive assembly. So I will pull this ribbon cable off. This is just a standard... The hard drive in here is literally just a standard hard drive. It's a standard 3-inch hard drive. It has Molex connectors and its EIDE form factor. It should just pop right out. Molex is kind of finicky sometimes. Very gently, and there we go. Unthread that power cord. And this should lift right out very carefully. There we go. Alright. There's the hard drive. The next thing we pull out you know what I forgot? I forgot that there's another screw down here on the other side. So I'm going to reseat this carefully. I'm going to get at that screw. It's down here on this side. Yep. Making sure you can actually see what I'm doing. The only issue I've ever really had with doing this is that you kind of don't know what you're going to be looking at until after you actually open the damn thing up. You can read serial numbers all day, but you don't know if anybody's worked on it before you ever got to it. You don't know if it's ever actually been to official repair. That and the original Xbox wasn't hard-coded to its hardware. Now this right here is really fun because this is the funny little power connector that they have for their hard drives, which was really unique to mess with. It looks like this hard drive just sits on clips on this little chassis. That's fun. Not hard drive, DVD drive, what am I saying? Lost my mind. Okay. Piece of shielding there. Okay, now that we can actually see the board. Your noise filter is there. Your power unit here. Looks nice and dusty. Not too terrible though. Looks like whoever owned this really took really good care of it and hardly ever fired it up. I'm not seeing much dust at all. All right, this is gonna be a fast process. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause it here and get cleany. Here we go. Okay, so I'm in the middle of cleaning it, and you know how I said that it didn't look too dirty at first? Well, while I was scrubbing a Q-tip around on the front of the motherboard, I found some lovely nasty, which means that I'm going to have to take the motherboard out completely. The reason why, that gun's right there. This is what I got off with some alcohol. But this gun's right here, I'm showing it to you dry. That's what you get when you smoke around your electronics. Don't smoke around your electronics. It gets crap in there. Yeah, don't do it. It's a bad idea. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and just run straight forward with the rest of this mod. Going to replace some screws that I had previously taken out so that I could get to this fan blade right here, so I could clean it, because it was just looking all kinds of nasty. Alright, let's see if I can get that centered. Alright, that seems about right. So, why do you go ahead and clean the entire thing? Because longevity. Keep your equipment pristine and clean. Shit, what the hell did I just destroy? Okay, I'm not seeing anything destroyed. This is good. Alright. Everything seems to hate me tonight. Anyway. So, if you take care of your equipment will take care of you. Meaning, it'll last longer. It'll be there when you want it. It'll be there when you need it. So, take care of your stuff. Now, that's not to say, you know, crack open your Xbox and clean it every week or weekend. No, that'd be retarded. That'd be way too much work. Way too much. Too much. I mean, you know, crack it open maybe every year. Or, don't be a dirty person. That works too. Okie dokie, so things we're going to actually pull out, because they tend to get in the way sometimes, are the EIDE cable. Set that aside for now. The DVD drive power cable. Set that aside for now. This is the Molex power cable for the hard drive. We're just going to leave that as is and then plug this fan back in. Because I think this is the main processor and that is the graphics processor. And this is a sub-graphics processor here. Kind of obvious with the NVIDIA logo on it. Yay. And this is your main case fan. Alright, now then, before we get to work on this, we are going to be testing the possibility to do a mod on this one that I didn't get to do on mine. The lovely open DVD drive case mod. Now my drive in my Xbox is different from this one. Quite vastly also, and you know what, I'm not going to use a head for that, I'm just going to go ahead and use this guy right here. My DVD drive was not compatible with this. I'm hoping that this one is. Why? Because it looks awesome. If it works. If it doesn't work, well, I just have to pop it back out and put everything back how it was. But we're going to hope that it works. stuff these in. Excellent. The DVD drive. Let's clean the laser. Q-tip, which we now dip into isopropyl alcohol, and then very carefully clean the housing around it, because apparently this person was severely dirty. Yeah. If you choose to do this, be very, 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 very exceedingly gentle, because that laser eye can get messed up really easily. Just go ahead and clean the rubber here while we're at it. See, in my Xbox, when I popped it open, there was huge amounts of gunge on everything. So this process actually took me many, 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 many hours. It took me a couple of days. Well, a weekend anyway. Alright. Next, we shall do... Nope. Alright. There's two different portions to this. You have to actually kind of... Sorry, I'm not framing this well. Alright, so we're going to replace this pit right here using... by the way, this entire case mod that I have came from ghostcase.com. Very nice people. Very lovely people. Everybody should... Just drop that. Hang on. Everybody should do business with them. Because when it turned out that I was in Germany, and they hadn't known that before, they actually sent me an email, and I called them up, and they were awesome, and shipped me extra parts for free. So, do business with Ghost Case. Like I said, they're good people. Alright, so we're going to be replacing this Xbox drive cover with this one. And we're going to be replacing this entire piece of metal with this bridge. So when you put the the clear case top mod on there, you'll be able to see your disc spinning, and it won't go flopping and flying all over the place inside the system. Why? Because it is secured. You're going to be extra gentle when taking this portion off. Make sure you hold the drive tray in place, and then very gently lift on this, gently but firmly, and then just pop it right off. And you bring the new one in after examining this thing, and then hitting it with some alcohol Q-tip. Clean the crap right off of there. Oh yeah, something lovely. Oh wow, this one actually does have a pass-through. On my Xbox, there was no pass-through to get to this port right here, which is how you jimmy the drive open whenever the drive won't actually open on its own. Yep. There's a pinhole right there that my old Xbox case did not have. So, I'm glad that this one has it. It's going to be kind of superfluous after we put the new front on there, but, you know, what can you do? Alright, so here we go. New front. And it just slides and snaps right like that. It's glorious. It's beautiful. Hey, hey, hey. We are in business. We can do this. This is going to be great. Which one is this? Is it Thompson? You're going to have to get me one of these. I'm going to have to look online for one of these. I'm going to have to hop on eBay or Amazon and find one of these. A Thompson Xbox drive. So that I can actually do this mod on mine also. Now then, the spindle. Getting the spindle out. Don't try and take it out through the middle. You're going to break things and cut your hands up. That's dumb. Don't do it. What you're going to do is you're going to come under here. You're going to peel off the sticker. The reason why you want this spindle is because it'll cooperate. There we go. The reason why you want the spindle is, oh, it's just lovely. Tiny knife, go. The spindle is what keeps the actual disc in place while it's spinning. Keeps it from flopping and flying all over the drive on the inside and destroying the components and breaking the system. So it's an excellent thing to go ahead and get. Alright, so I'd use a tiny knife to cut this off, and then it just pops right off like that because it's only held in place by a sticker. And then it just drops right out using gravity. Ain't it great? Now then, the spindle is just a piece of metal there, housed by plastic. The way it works is absolutely gorgeous. Let me go and find a disc and I will be right back. And as always, whenever you do an experiment, make sure that you're using something that you really truly do not give a single crap about. And I don't care about this disc. The great thing is it'll work perfectly because it's still a disc. Now then, why isn't this scraping against the tray, you might ask? Well, it's quite simple. When the drive closes, the spindle on the bottom raises up, thus raising the disc, so that the disc can spin freely. It comes in contact with the spindle top, which holds it in place, keeping it from rattling around on the inside, securing it perfectly. Okay? Now then, the great thing about this mod here, what we're doing, boom. And it'll still do its thing. And it'll still be held in place. But, let's just go ahead and throw that disc in there, so you can really see how this is going to work. And there it is. Spins freely with no issues. Ain't that glorious? Ain't that wonderful? I think it is. Let's go ahead and pop that on. Just like so. After taking it off, I'm just going to pop this medallion in place that doesn't want to cooperate at all. Tee-hee. There shouldn't be a specific way of orienting it. I don't think there is. Oh, look, I broke a tab. How awesome is that? Oh, shit. The thing is, I don't know where that went either. Okay, so it probably broke off earlier. Sucks to be me, but whatever. Ah, hell, it was on the spindle. Damn it. Destroying my fucking life. See that? That's what happens when you're a perfectionist. Hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, so thank God I had another one laying around from my previous modding endeavors that I didn't get to use with my other case. So we're going to be using this one. Hang on. Yeah. This one. Alright, so we make sure we have it oriented correctly. Good. Drop it in. Set it in place. And it snaps in place. Beautifully. And it sits on the drive like so. And when you've got a disc in there, just go ahead and throw that in there for a placeholder. There it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and put those screws back in. I'll pop that disc out later whenever I fire up the Xbox. Why? Because I don't give a shit about that disc. So, there it is. This part right here just kind of brings the whole thing together, you know? Makes it that much more gorgeous. I like it. I'm gonna get one of these drives and throw it in my own after I order another case because I cracked mine like an idiot. Okay, so next part next. Set that drive aside for now. And notice that we're not going to actually do anything with the hard drive. We're going to leave the hard drive as is for now because I don't have another drive to replace it with. I don't have a larger drive laying around. I have my old hard drive from mine, which is also an 8 gig. The 8 gig hard drive was standard in the old school Xbox. So we're just going to leave it as is. Moving right along. And also backing the camera up. Actually, you know what? We're going to go ahead and sit this back into its chassis. Yeah, there we go. Which went like so. And we're going to put not, we shall see. Probably going to end up leaving this piece of shielding off, just because there's a chance that it could destroy the DVD drive. Alright, now then. Guts of the Xbox. Down here in the front, zoom in here, you have, excellent, I framed that perfectly, a power connector, which we will have to disengage to continue, so that I can show you what I'm talking about, and also so that I can get to a lot of this other stuff. This is an ATX power supply, by the way, otherwise you wouldn't be able to actually tell it to shut down the system by pressing a soft button or by telling it to shut down from within the operating system. That's why long cable there. Good. Now then, this right here is the daughter board which hosts the two let's pull out the two controller ports on either side of the front. This is the most difficult part when putting a new case on. This is the biggest pain in the ass portion of it. So what you gotta do is unplug both of these cables from the daughter board. And you're also going to have to unplug this yellow wire, which goes to the control face on the front, the eject and power button. It also feeds the LEDs that are on the front as well. And this daughter board can also straight up unplug by very gently lifting up. And there it is. But for safety's sake, so that we can avoid destroying things, let's unplug it completely and then set it aside. Okay. Yeah. This portion of the mod is difficult at best, nigh impossible at worst. But what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and pull out the controller ports so we can have an easier time of it. And by the way, going at this angle is kind of difficult, so I hope you appreciate it. I know I said in another video that's going to get posted that I probably wouldn't mod an Xbox on film, but I said that I would. I don't remember. I was drunk at the time. Oh well. It was one of those nights that I was cleaning the house. Had some extra time before I had to hit the sack, so, you know. Anyway. Alright, this should just pop or pull right out. Kind of stiff, but there it is. Now here's the really fun part. These actually are not side specific because they are completely identical, but I try to make sure that I get them back in the same side anyway, just because, you know. You are going to want to very carefully, throughout this entire process, pop off and disengage every single piece of plastic you can to get this thing off. Now, it actually doesn't matter if you destroy it, because you're not going to be using this faceplate anymore. Make sure that you leave the metal intact. The plastic is what you can sacrifice. Just wanted to clarify that real quick before somebody did something stupid if they're doing it while I'm doing it. Okay. And please don't call me for tech support. I'm not the right guy to ask for tech support on something like this. Literally have to pry this thing right off. And you can actually find a full tutorial on how to do this. Pictorial tutorial on ghostcase.com. There we go, got one side. There we go. Comes the other side. the middle. And there it is. Came off. See? Told you I'd get it. Now then, be right back. New top case, new faceplate. So, transferring bits and pieces to the new faceplate. You're probably wondering what in the Ghost Case pack is actually going to be able to transfer. Well, I got kind of a hard answer for you. Not much. Not much. And that's actually something that I was kind of disappointed in. Getting this portion off, you're going to have tabs here and here. The secret is, press the clip down right there, and it should pop right out. Let's see if I can get this in frame for you. Actually, like I said earlier, it doesn't really matter if you break the plastic. You're not going to be using this faceplate again. At least I hope you're not, because, alright, now that we've got that piece of plastic bent down and away, you should be able to very carefully, quite simply, lift it up. And it comes right out. Now then, there is your power and eject button and the two LEDs that light up this lovely ring right here. The crappy thing is, you kinda can't keep these buttons. At least on mine I couldn't. I was very sad about that because, you know, I thought it might look kind of cool. Probably would have too. Sadly, it just was not meant to be. Because the buttons on the Ghost Case thing and on the original Xbox thing are actually two different sizes. Which, you know, kind of sucks. I'll be uploading this a day late because I have work in the morning. And it's getting kind of late right now. It's 1940 at night. Okay, there we go. Now, as you can see, the light bezel does not fit. It doesn't fit, which sucks. The buttons, however, yep. No. Wait. Do they? Do they truly? Do they possibly? They may. Fudge. I might have to destroy these. I'm hoping I don't. Yep, that's destroyed. Luckily we have the Ghost Case buttons. So we're still okay. So we're going to follow the actual directions and put this crap on here. And And there it is. Teehee, I'm an idiot and I had it upside down. Ow. Just poked my finger some. We're going to ignore that that just broke. The ghost case although beautiful, is terribly brittle. Alright, so, got that installed, and as you can hear, the buttons sound perfect. Thank God. There's a lot of praying involved in any modification. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that in any of my previous videos, but there really is. You get really religious because there's moments of, oh God, did I just screw up? Thank God I didn't screw up. And, you know, other lovely such phrases. So let's go ahead and put this on. And by the way, we've just performed the most difficult portion of this whole process. The single most difficult portion of this process is what we just did just now. Alright, now then, I'm not going to lie to you, getting this front plate back on without destroying it involves a lot of wrestling of plastic. I'm just going to zoom out here. That was the wrong way. I'm just going to zoom out here and pray that I don't break it, because I'm going to have to be very, very careful. Which, as you've seen, is not exactly something that I'm very good at. Okay. That was easier than I expected it to be. Last time on my old Xbox, on my previous Xbox that I did this to, it took a solid half hour of coaxing to get it to work. Now, we go ahead and we plug all this stuff back in. Put the controller ports back in. I'll go ahead and turn this around so I can do it better without destroying it. I'd love to be able to show you absolutely everything that I do, but you know what? I have to make sure that this thing's perfect. That's one. Let's go put the screws in for that. There it is. And controller port 2. Oh, and Zeke, by the way, this is the surprise we were talking about for getting good grades. You've earned it. Okay. Daughter board. power connector out of the way. And we plug 1, ensuring that we've got all the tabs facing the correct direction. Plug 2, again, making sure we've got all the tabs facing the correct direction. Hold yellow wire up. And we place the board down on top of its connectors on the motherboard and firmly press them in place. And there it is. Easy peasy. I will admit to you right now, the easiest modification to do on any system that I have modified so far is the original Xbox. It is the perfect mod system. Why? Or, sorry, the perfect system that is a candidate for being modded. The reason why. Number 1, ease. You don't really have to, if you don't want to, you don't have to solder anything. And if you're worried about getting this thing back in place in the right direction, just let it go, because these wires, being made of metal, will have gotten used to resting in a certain position. Whichever way they choose to rest, that's the correct direction to plug this thing back in. But make sure that you get everything lined up. And then firmly press down. Make sure that there's no bits of metal hanging off in odd, uncouth directions. Ensure that every plug is seated correctly. This is part of why I enjoy being nearsighted, because I can get in close and see this stuff. Alright. And we're good. Alright, so daughter board is back in place, controllers are back in place, controllers are plugged into daughter board. Power and DVD eject button are plugged into place correctly. So, let's go ahead and throw the drives back in. Yep. But first, before we do that, we check and make sure that there's nothing left unplugged. Because that could be disastrous. And a whole world of no fun. Because results from leaving something unplugged can result in sparks, explosions, and fire. So let's make sure that things are plugged in, or, you know, plugged into the correct place, I mean. Now the other result that's possible from things not being plugged in, or being plugged in, sorry, not being plugged in, it'll just not work. Things plugged into the wrong place or in the wrong direction, that's when you get sparks, fire, and explosions. Now, they're not going to be large explosions. I mean, it's not going to be, you know, Chernobyl going up, or any of those lovely Hollywood computer explosions that you see where there's, you know, huge billowing gasoline fires, because I don't see any dynamite. I really don't. I see some large capacitors. That's what these shiny things are here. Or these shiny things are here. But you know what happens when those go off? When they explode? You know what you get? It sounds like a gunshot. That's it. It just goes bang! And then it stops working. And that's the full extent of it. So yeah, make sure everything's plugged in right. There's the hard drive. Oriented the wrong way. So first up, DVD drive. The great thing is that this lovely connector here has two sizes of its connector. Only one will plug in to one place, and the other to the other place. So one goes on the board, one goes on the DVD drive. And what you're going to do is you're just going to set it next to its connector, which is right here. And you're just going to look at it. And you're going to say, alright, is that the correct width? Yup, that is. Next, you're going to take a look at the plug proper. And you're going to find out exactly where those tabs are, if we can get into focus here. You don't want to get in focus. Wait, no, there it is. Okay, so you got these little 2 teeth tabs here that are sitting up. Look on here. You see an empty space right here. Kind of got my fingernail resting in it. Can't really see that on camera very well, but you can orient this so those 2 little teeth tabs actually plug straight in there. And it'll go in real nice and pretty. And no struggling. You won't have to force it, it'll just click in place. If you find yourself having to force something in place, you've probably got it in the wrong place. So don't try and force things in place. Let's pull this out. DVD drive. Again, look for the teeth. See it is oriented upside. Plug it in. There it is. And actually, you know what, guys? I just screwed up. Because I did the yellow wire first. I really should have done the EIDE wire first. So that's my fault. Don't be like me. Don't screw up. Because remember, you screw up, you might break it, or you might have to pull it apart again. Which, yeah, I enjoy working on these things, but I really hate having to pull shit apart again. It's a pain in the ass. It's wiggled into place. Make sure it's actually... Nope, back end is too high. Remember, it'll just sit in place. You won't have to force it. If you have to force it, you're doing it wrong. Okay, there it is. I'm going to do a quick test. I'm going to plug in this cowling. After I plug in the... Damn it. Just fucked that up. I have to figure out where those go. Alright. Lift this back out. Plug this in gently. But firmly. Slip this cowling over. This is actually a grounding cowling, which makes sure that static electricity does not build up. And because this is going to El Paso, El Paso is a dry, arid place. Lots of possibility for static discharge. And hey, this one does actually have a pass through to jimmy the drive open. Awesome. Gotta love that. Okay. So cowling looks like it's sitting perfectly. Looks like it's not going to interfere with the drive tray at all. Just the same, I'm going to have to test this with probably a blank CD. Just a blank CDR, because what happens if you destroy a blank CDR? Did you actually lose something? No, not really, because there was nothing on it to be lost. Okay. Let's put this back in. Now something else fun that we're going to be doing as we reseat everything, sorry, after we've got everything reseated, is I'm going to be doing a very, very simple light modification. Which is to say that I'm going to be installing a green glowing light into this. because I had a blue one, but I already plugged that one into mine and it's glued in place, so there's kind of no getting it out. And if I want to finish this in any kind of a timely fashion, yeah, there we go. If I want to finish this in any kind of a timely fashion, I'm going to have to not mess with it too much. Alright. Dadgummit. I have to pause here. Alright, so my only argument against Ghost Case, they're severely brittle. So that's why I'm so glad this actually came off of my old Xbox. The fresh one is right here. Ta-da! So, yeah, no, I didn't actually destroy anything that was particularly valuable. Alright, now this thing's telling me that it's running out of memory space, so this right here is a blue light. It's going to get glued in place up here, and it's going to plug in to the hard drive's power unit because it's got this lovely Molex pass-through on here. And I'm going to do that after I pause here and then extract all the video off of the camera that I've got right now. Alright, so, see you in a couple minutes. And we're back with a freshly empty memory card. Yay! So, to get the light in place, I'm going to have to use some of the Craggle. Yes, I saw the Lego movie, it was hilarious. And really, really good. Go see it. Now, the way that we do this, because honestly getting this case on here, Ghost Case makes a really, really, really pretty product. Is it well fitted? Like, physically sized for what it does? I'm sorry guys, but no, it's really not. Your sizing on your cases is actually quite terrible. Then again, I mean, it's not like there's many people out there that do this, so I understand if you don't go back and revamp it. Anyway, it's fine. It works for the purposes that we're having on this video. Alright, so what you do is you orient it first. You take a look at it, and you see exactly where things are going to be going. Alright, from there, you set it down. Alright. Flip it over. And straighten the wire a bit. The lovely thing is, wait, is it? That can't be a pass-through. I'd have to resolder everything if that was a pass-through. Come on, people. The ring light you sold me is just almost unusable. So I orient it that way. I really don't want to admit it, but I may end up having to, no, that's not going to work because that's just not, no. Right. Yeah. So it kind of has to go this way. Alright. Okay. Still slightly disappointed, but it's not going to end the world. It's not terrible. It can still look pretty. If it'll cooperate and actually go into the stupid wired holding trace that they have on here. Oh, I see the problem. Black wire is slightly smaller than the red wire. How cute. It's not cooperating. Awesome. Okay, so let's just go ahead and glue this in place. When using crazy glue, be extremely careful. Why? Because seriously, one dot in the wrong spot and you're basically screwed. Because this stuff works like crazy. Okay, there we go. That's awesome. I just sneezed it all over the inside. It's incredible. It's a miracle. Alright. Nikes. So like I said, be careful when using crazy glue. Why? Because one false move and everything's fucked up. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Nope, didn't work. Alright, so that's going to be there. It's not really that big of a problem because it's going to be hidden up by the medallion when we're done, so I'm not too worried about it. Now then, let's go ahead and get this in place. Now just be aware, as soon as this thing's actually closed, you really should never, ever try to open it up again, because honestly you're gonna end up meeting with failure and anguish. Because if something gets, you know, messed up, it's really difficult to fix, especially this. I had that entirely backwards. Awesome. In Ghost case, I don't know why your wire trace for this thing goes to the front, because there's no Molex over here. It's in the back, dude. Alright, so here it is, the most difficult portion. Plugging power back into the hard drive is easy. Just plug one Molex into the pass-through. Plug the pass-through into the hard drive. Tuck things down and away so they don't cooperate. Okay. And now we get ready to close this puppy up. Why? Because the most involved portion of this is actually quite done. Quite finished. Now then, major issues with Ghost Case that I've had on my previous system. Right here and back, this stuff does not line up properly. Which what you're probably going to end up having to do is what I had to do. Oh, wait, that just snapped in place. Do I have good news over on the side? Do I? Nothing shattered, everything lined up. Yes, except for this one corner. Funny thing, it's the same corner on mine that I was having issues with. So, question, how did I solve it on my other Xbox? Answer, not crazy glue. I used my multi-tool, which I left in the other room when I was getting the light. Hang on. Good old-fashioned Gerber. Why do you need a Gerber? Well, for a very sharp knife. Why do you need a very sharp knife? To very, very carefully shave plastic right here. So this corner will actually fit. Is this a pain in the ass? Oh yes. In spite of it being a pain in the ass, is this mod still easy? Yeah, definitely. Very, very easy. Should I maybe instead have gotten wire cutters? Should I simply cut the plastic? Definitely. Will it ruin the overall aesthetic? In the end, no. Not really, it's not going to be that noticeable. And honestly, I'd rather that it work and sit correctly in place rather than be just, you know, off kilter like it is right now. Oh yeah, things I forgot to mention. Things I forgot to do. So I got ahead of myself. I forgot nothing's broken. Thank God nothing's broken. Okay. I forgot to bolt the drives back down. So let's go ahead and do that. Things won't cooperate? Of course not. Why would they? I'm only trying to do something nice for somebody else. Why would it cooperate? Alright, let's see here. I've got a tiny magnet. Yes. There we go. Optional tools I always find to be useful. Teeny tiny, button sized neodymium magnets. Shit. Of course, why wouldn't that happen? Ta-da. Yeah, hoping for these things to actually cooperate with you when you're trying to put them together is like... is honestly like hoping that a 3-year-old won't run away in a candy store and try to eat everything in sight. It's not going to happen. Lovely. Of course, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Is going wrong. Solution. Find a wide enough screwdriver to just simply jam this, sorry, flathead screwdriver, to just go ahead and jam this onto the end of. Will that hurt something? No, not really. Not much. There we go. Ta-da. Of course, as soon as I said it. As soon as I said it. Hopefully this will entertain me. Pain in the ass to do. Okay, so we jammed that on there pretty good. Very carefully lower it into place. Get it started. And there we go. You know what? I'm not going to take any chances on that one. Haha. Okay. Something else I forgot to mention earlier. Okay. Is that the drive cover that comes with it, the green drive cover, you need to actually gently shave that just a touch. Okay, here we go. Safety pin. With which we completely failed Jimmy the Drive with. This. Too large. Alright. I am probably going to have to pause, go get something long enough, and come right back. here, which I don't. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to be right back. Alright, so I managed to jimmy the drive open. Thank God. Now then. The really difficult, careful part is getting this thing back off so that you can trim the plastic. Thank God. Alright, here we go. I don't know if you can see that, but it's this little seam right up here. That's what you gotta trim. The only way to really do that is just go in there with a knife, shave it down. If knife isn't cooperating, go in with a file. Okay. Does this scar it up a little bit? Yeah, sure. On the top only. Does it ensure that the drive will open and close as it should? Yep. Which one's more important? Functionality. Because, I mean, seriously? Who wants a game system that you can't really play? Not me. Off the excess tiny portions. Alright. This doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be good enough. However, for you other people out there who actually have to get everything absolutely perfect, I'm quite certain that you can quite easily make that happen. All right. It should be just dandy. Okay, so the hard drive's bolted down. Everything's bolted down. That's trimmed. Time to put the lid on. This is the worst. Oh wait, yeah. Yeah. Let's actually take advantage of this. Oh god, where'd that button battery go? Not battery, but magnet. Okay, there it is. Found it. Yeah, you don't want a magnet getting lost in there because it'll really royally dick up the inner workings. I mean, it'll cause the whole thing to not work. Which, if you're trying to hurt somebody, could be hilarious. But if you're trying to do something nice for somebody, no, that's no, not even remotely funny. Just gotta glue one up. There's none of those that don't have glue, so I'm gonna have to make a new one. Okay. So what are we going to do on this side? We're going to file it down. Just kidding. We're going to file it down, we're going to cut it. We're going to cut it using a tiny knife. Why? Because it's easier to control. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually end up having to shave this entire portion right here. Like I said, it's the only real portion of it where I don't appreciate Ghost Case because I end up having to do this. And they've got a good product and all, it's just I have to start carving things because their stuff is just, you know, 1 or 2 nanometers off. That's what I really don't like. Is it a Greek tragedy though? No. Not really. If you're like me, and you don't like having any tiny piece of any imperfection in there, you're going to want to very carefully get all of this portion here shaved off. Which honestly will probably be easier if I just go ahead and use the file. I'm just going to have to make sure that I dust it out afterwards. Something not everybody knows is that this black plastic here on the Xbox isn't actually black. It's really deep dark green. How do I know that? Because the dust that I get when I file this is really deep dark green. Maybe I should have done this with my Dremel. Fuck it, too late now. Alright. Do we really need to worry too much about plastic filings getting into the system? No. Why? They're non-electroconductive. And they're also not going to hold any significant amount of heat that is going to cause any kind of damage to the system. Just the same, try and get it out. Alright. Let's see if that works. Just in case it does, because if it does, it's going to be permanent, because getting this thing back apart is quite hazardous to the case's health. Like I said, these things are very brittle. They like to break. Mine shattered quite easily, as you saw earlier. Alright, there we go. Let's see if we got this. We got this backwards. Okay. Now let's see if we got this. Because it's a clear case, you can see all the little dust that's on the inside. So, if you're doing this, you're going to want to make sure you hose out the dust as you go along. Otherwise, you can have a really junky looking surprise for yourself when you get finished. Huh. What do you know? That wasn't on all the way. Awesome. Alright, we're still getting resistance from right here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to trim that corner. Okay. Let's get that disc out of there. It's going to be really terrible. Right. Now then. Let's try this again. There we go. Isn't that glorious? Isn't that wonderful? And we take a look. Make sure that nothing looks like it's going to be interfering with anything else. There it is. Gorgeous. Alright, now that this is on, it's not coming off. Why? Because if I try to get it off, it will most definitely shatter. I've learned this the hard way. Like I said, Ghost Case makes a really good product. It looks great, but it's really damn brittle. Alright, now then, let's go ahead and put the bolts back in. Close it up, and proceed to the final portion, transferring the medallion. The medallion, if you're wondering, is the Xbox logo that sits on top of the Xbox. This guy right here. Now, when you're tightening this thing back down, you want to make sure that you don't tighten it down too tightly. You want to make sure that you get it secure, but you want to also make sure that you account for the fact that the Ghost Case itself is, well, kind of brittle. The mistake that I made is that I tightened it down too tight on my first one. Broke some of the securing posts off, which I was very disappointed about. So basically what you're going to do, you're going to get the screws down there until they're actually just in their holes. You're not going to tighten it down so tight that it's actually going to be really, really getting it tight in there, you know, where you're really having to twist it. Because if you do that, you're going to break the Ghost Case. And then you're going to cry. Because it's not fun. Because then you have to break the Ghost Case the rest of the way to get it back off. And then order a new one. Which is another $30. Plus shipping and handling. So, yeah, don't tighten your screws down too tightly. After all, this is going to be a work of art that also functions as a game system. Just get the screws down so they're just past the plastic. So they're not actually trying to indent the roof of the case. Now with the original Xbox case that comes on it, you can go ahead and do that. You can go ahead and tighten it down until it's actually tight. Alright, there we go. Pretty. Ta-da! Now that everything's in there and secure, we set it aside. so you can actually see what it looks like. And we turn it on. Ta-da! Spindle appears to function perfectly. It scrapes a little bit. It doesn't scrape too much though. I'm going to be right back. Turn off the lights here. As you can see, it lights up blue with a green case. I'll be right back with this. So, the great thing about having a clear DVD drive, you can now watch the DVD spin. How awesome is that? I think it's awesome. Yeah, it's real close to that IDE cable, which is really loose, but that's not going anywhere because it's being held in place by all the rest of it. But this right here, this is awesome. I didn't get to do this with my Xbox, and I'm severely disappointed that I couldn't. But this is perfect. This is perfect beyond what I could have hoped for. Alright. Now sadly I'm going to have to keep this copy so that I can have everything that I need to soft mod anybody else's game system who may desire that I soft mod it for them. But don't worry, because this game system is now soft modded, it will quite happily play a pirate copy of any game you care to throw into it. As, you know, as long as it's an Xbox game. Alright, now then, blow dryer time. Okay. So you're probably not going to be able to hear me while I do this, but step one, remove the heat shield. Screwdriver. Heat shield. Screwdriver goes under the heat shield. And you just pry it right up there. Pry it up off the posts. Don't even worry too much about it. This thing's not going to get used again. And are you hurting it? Yeah. Are you going to care? No. And is this heat shield going to go in the system again? No. I mean, it's a giant piece of aluminum. If you put it underneath the... What's the point of having a clear case if you're going to put this in there? No. That's... Why would you even ask that? It's actually the whole point of why we increased the fan speed earlier in the system settings, is so that it will pull heat out of the system with with greater efficiency. Now we didn't set it up to something stupid high, we just set it to something sane and normal, which is, 2, whereas it was on 1. Now it's just simply going double the speed that it would be going. Alright, now then. You may or may not be able to hear me as I blow dry this, but what you want to do is you want to get heat both here, which is where the medallion is, on the back side, and also here a little bit on the front, but mostly here and back so that you can melt that glue that's holding it on. So here we go. Alright, so let's try prying it up. Something center. Alright, so you're just going to hold it up there and just gradually let it release. After a couple of attempts, you go around the whole thing. And then it comes right up. Yeah, there it is. Huh. This must have been redone at some point. Mine had a foam backer, not a rubber one. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pause right here. Okay, so for the final portion of this, it's nothing super special. We're actually done all of the way. The only reason why I'm not putting the medallion back on there just yet is because I don't know if the guy that this is going to wants a silver medallion, which I also have, or this one right here. The silver medallion comes off of my old Xbox. I actually took a normal medallion like this one, and I had to sand off the green paint on the back side, and then I just spray painted it with some silver paint, because that's what I had laying around. If he wants this one, it still has this sticky backing on it, so I can just stick it on, just slap it on there and boom, done. The other one I'd have to super glue. after doing some more sanding potentially, which I'm kind of loath to do. Anyway, so final portion of this is really nothing special. It's nothing super duper involved. All you've really got to do is scrub the glue off these pads and then glue the feet back on. And then you're done. So, things that I learned doing this twice now is that number one, it's kind of a difficult mod to do, but not too difficult. It's actually, the only really difficult thing about it is getting the top of the case on. That's the only really difficult part. Everything else is gravy. Anyway, this is going to take a while. Maybe. I'm actually going to... I don't like the way it's creaking. Paranoid now. Because I've had one of these cases break on me once before. Because, like I said, they look nice, but they're kind of cheap. Because it's clear plastic. Clear plastic really is a lot more brittle than the black plastic, which I don't know what they're tinting it with, but it's definitely a lot more resilient. It can take a little bit more abuse, not a whole lot more, but enough to where it's a noticeable difference. Anyway, anytime you do an Xbox mod like this, because it is honestly the perfect emulator system. It really is. I mean, I seriously take the old school original Xbox as kind of a personal gift from Bill Gates, because I'm able to take this thing and then do stuff with it that he didn't intend for me to do, but its range of capabilities, because of what it is just fantastic, It's just great, it really is. It's wonderful. If you have an old school Xbox, do I recommend software modifying it, at least? Software modifying it so that you can run emulators on it. Yes, absolutely. Do I recommend doing a case mod to it? If you've got the skill and you've got the tools, yes, definitely. And also if you've got the patience. Do I advocate going ahead and putting emulators on there so that you can play out-of-print games? In other words, NES, SNES, Game Boy Color, a lot of Game Boy Advance games, PlayStation 1 games, N64 games, Sega Genesis, MAME, you name it. If there's an emulator for it and this thing runs it, do it. There's really honestly no good reason not to. And to get the feet back on. I'm going to be using the Craggle again. There we go. Just put a little bit on every pad location. And you'll be good. Just to take the foot pads and just slap them on there. Should you be a little bit more careful of the foot pads after this? Yes. Why? Because they may have a tendency to kind of, detach and fall off if you catch them on a corner at exactly the wrong angle. But anyhow. So here it is. Zeke, not going to say a last name because you know who you are. It's really not necessary for me to say a last name at this point. This really is a gift from your sister and me to you. Because you earned it. When your mother first sent me that other Xbox, I didn't really think much of it. Now that I've had a chance to actually do something with it, I know this isn't the same Xbox, but consider this me, re-gifting it back to you. Because everything that I learned operating on the first one, you have just watched me pour into this one. So, keep up the good work, keep getting good grades in school, and we will see what happens. Alright, that's it for this video. Please go ahead and comment, rate, and subscribe if you wish. Check out my other videos where I do GameCube modifying. And as always, have fun. I'm out. Okay, so a couple of quick final notes. Here's the Xbox proper. What I've got it doing right now is actually copying the game Morrowind, Game of the Year Edition, onto the hard drive, which is another lovely thing that you can make these things do once you've actually got them software modified. The benefit of doing this is that once you've got the game disc fully loaded onto the hard drive, you don't have to risk that disc anymore. Not while you're playing it. Now, if you're not going to upgrade the hard drive, which I'm not going to do in this one, because I don't have the money or the resources to do it. Plain and simple. Now, what I do have available to me, though, is the ability to burn off game discs that are pirate copies, which is what all of these are. Now, are a lot of you going to argue that that's illegal? Yeah. Do I agree? No. Here's why. All of these games are out of print. You can't find them anywhere. Not anymore. Lego Star Wars 1 and 2. It's kind of a gray area because they make Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga, which is basically an amalgam of Lego Star Wars 1 and 2, but you cannot find Lego Star Wars 1 and 2 proper being freshly manufactured and then put out into the world to be sold by anyone anywhere. Not for the Xbox. Not for any system. It's just, they're gone. Technically. Same thing for a lot of these. Same thing for KOTOR 1 and 2. But you know what, the whole point of this is that with a software modified Xbox, you can run an emulator. So you can play all of your previous game systems on one system, on a TV. Or you can play games that were current for this system, on this system, simply by downloading them and burning them off, or FTPing them, which is File Transfer Protocol, over to the system, which, because the software modified system is a Linux system, that's entirely possible to do. It'll do basically everything that it's capable of doing, which is pretty much anything that you could want to do with it. Can you use it as a desktop PC? Maybe, if you find the right software. Would I recommend doing that? No, because that's not what it was made for. And sure, it's possible to do it, but what's the point? You know, it's a severely dated system. You're not going to be able to run anything that's recent on it. It was made basically straight up to play games and hop online and play games against your friends, and do so with some, well, pretty darn good graphics of the day. But anyhow, so I'm going to keep copying Morrowind onto here. That's something that I've decided that I'm going to do for every single Xbox that I modify, software or otherwise. Well, yeah, whatever. You get what I mean. This right here is what my Xbox looks like now. The reason why it looks like this now is because, well, you saw the shattered ghost case that I held up earlier in the video. So this is the top case that was on here, and this medallion actually was on my original case, which, you know, I sanded this one down and made it silver. I've just got it on here as kind of a test to see if it's still aesthetically pleasing. If it's not, then I'll just go ahead and throw the original medallion back on there and, you know, ship it off to where it's going, which is El Paso. Did see, oh wait, no, there it is. Yep, there's a little sliver of plastic in there that's static clinging to the roof of this thing. And I'm not going to bother trying to get that out, because last time I did that, that's how the other case got shattered. Because I got too perfectionist-y, you know? I got too overly concerned with having it be absolutely perfect. Now then, I am popping out Morrowind. Morrowind. Game of the Year edition. Closing the tray. And putting it back in its case. And now, you shall witness some of the true power of what a software modified system can do. I'm going to go to Games. It says empty. But I'm going to hit I'm going to hit refresh list. Now I'm going to go to Games, and there Morrowind pops up. And now we're going to play it. This is booting off of the hard drive. This is not booting off of an optical disc, which with an unsoftware modified system you would have to do. You would have to boot it off of the CD, and then all of your save files would be on the hard drive. But with a software modified Xbox, you don't have to do that anymore. You can put it straight onto the system. Whole thing, part and parcel, right there. And just to prove it, I'm going to go ahead and start up a brand new game. Go ahead and zoom in a little bit for you. Yeah. CRT televisions. Can't really do much with them on camera because the camera has a frame rate that's high enough to actually pick up the flicker. That's where this lovely black bar comes from. Now me sitting in front of it, I can't see that bar because the frame rate's high enough so that human eyes don't see it. I'm sorry, that was completely irrelevant and I'm just babbling because I'm exhausted. And here we go. I just named my guy Zero. What do you think about that? Yeah, my guy's name is Zero. This is Morrowind. This is Morrowind running on an Xbox without the DVD. Is it a crappy looking game? Yeah, it really is. But I really don't care. Darn, I can't jump in the water. Oh well. Okay, so that's that. Next I'm going to show you what these systems can really do when you've got your emulators and your everything else loaded onto it. You've heard me going on and on about how it'll play all these other games. It would play all this other stuff. So I'm going to hook up my Xbox now. Because the process of putting emulators on one of these things is long, arduous, and particularly boring. Because, well, unless you've got it hooked up to an FTP network, what you're going to end up needing to do is go ahead and use that 2 gig thumb drive and just load everything on there and sneakernet it between your computer and your Xbox. Now, here's something interesting about my Xbox. I have to keep a disk upside down in the drive. I have this one named Placeholder. Why? Because this drive sticks if I don't have a disk in there, and just to prove it, now it's closed, and now it's not opening. So, how do I get this open again? Well, that's actually very simple. I press the button, and pop. Now, how do I know that it's okay to do that? Because over here, on this one, you can see there's no electronics here. You're not going to hurt or break anything. All that happens when you bop it is you cause that spindle to separate. Now, the whole reason why the spindle in this particular drive in this Xbox sticks is because the magnet is too strong. So to weaken its pull, you have to put a spacer in there, which is a disc. Is it okay and safe to do that? Sure. Anybody online that says otherwise is a freaking idiot. Alright. No, it's not going to mess anything up. And all of you that are just right now talking to the screen telling me that I'm wrong, you're wrong, because I've been to school for this stuff and I know what I'm talking about, and I've ripped these things apart and put it back together again more times than you can imagine. Alright, so games. With an upgraded hard drive, you can put a lot of games on there. These are all the games that I care to put on here. I have 111 gigabytes to play with. I could put quite a few more games on here. Am I going to? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But probably not. Now then, when you want to run emulators, you go to Applications, because that's where they show up. FCE, that's for NES. Linux, we're not playing with that. Don't touch it. If you see it on your soft-modded Xbox, don't go anywhere near it. Just ignore that it even exists. SNES 9 Xbox, that is for playing SNES games, obviously. Surreal 64, N64 games, Game Boy Advance, or X-Boy Advance is, of course, Game Boy Advance games. Do I have anything by way of N64 ROMs? No. No, I do not. So I'm just going to back out of there. Let's see what we got in the NES stuff. Let's see if we've got anything fun. Let's go with Paperboy. That's a good classic to go with. Now you can actually set the emulator so you can have 2 players. Right now, my controls are completely fucked. Yup. Anyway. Reset. And we're going to take a look at SNES. Now the fantastic thing about the SNES stuff and about all of this is that it will play hacked ROMs. Anyway, for any of you who are sticking around waiting for something interesting to happen, I've got nothing. This is basically, you know, interesting things stopped happening a little while ago. Come on, I knew I had Battletoads on here somewhere. I guess not. Alright, so let's go with... Huh. Could have sworn I had more games. Oh wait, here we go. Super Mario All-Stars End World. Here's a good one. This is an excellent game to have on any emulator. Why? Because it's Super Mario's one through world, all in one place. You could almost never get bored with this one. You know? And there it is. That's Super Mario. Being played on an emulator on the Xbox. This is what the Xbox can do. This is what people rant and rave about. This right here. This is the epic cool thing. Okay? Now, what does this mean if you do have one of these Xboxes that's software modified? It means that you can share with your nieces, nephews, younger brothers, cousins, children, grandchildren, even if you manage to make the thing last long enough. You can share the games that you grew up on. Now me, I'm an old asshole. I grew up with an Atari 2600 way back in the day. Can this thing play Atari 2600 games? Easily, as long as an emulator for it exists. But anyway, that's all I've got. So, I'm out once and for all on this video, and this part might actually not make it onto the tail end. So, have fun modding, and enjoy.